All right. good morning, or good afternoon, depending on what part of the country you're joining us from. Coach Kevin here, and let's go ahead and get started. First thing I'd like to go ahead and do is share my screen with you really quick. And here we go. And I want to point out a few things, especially if you're with us for the very first time, that will be helpful to you. First of all, we have a Facebook group that actually coincides with this meetup group. It has the same name. I want to be really rich, and I do not apologize for it. We invite you to come join us. The way to find us is to go into your own Facebook profile, find the search Facebook function, and type in I want to be really rich and do not apologize for it, and you will find the group. The next way that you could find us is you could also go directly to facebook.com/groups/I want to be really rich as one word. Now, why would you want to join the group? A few different reasons. First of all, we post our announcements here. By the way, anybody who's typing into chat right now, I'll explain in a moment. I'm not going to be paying attention to that, but I will give you the opportunity to share comments and ask questions when the time is right. But as far as chat function goes for now, I'm not really going to be paying attention to it until a little bit later on, just so you know. Okay. So getting back to what we were doing here, the other thing that we do is, as long as I remember to hit record, which I typically do, I post the Zoom meetings into the Facebook group. So for instance, if you attend today and you really like what was said and you want to review it, this is where you can come find it. The other thing is, let's pretend that you were with us on Monday, Tuesday, but for some reason Wednesday you couldn't be with us, but now you're here with us Thursday, and we're in the process of going through material and you missed today. This is where you can go to find what we did to get caught up. So those are different reasons why you might want to be a part of the Facebook group. The other reason is people sometimes like to post some questions there because they have things on their mind and maybe they didn't get a chance during the time we had together Monday through Friday to do that. So those would be reasons why you would want to come join us. So I encourage you to do so, and we'd be happy to have you. All right. Next thing I want to go ahead and do here is point out what we're in the process of doing. Okay. So we are about to start something new for today. And let me kind of give you a little bit of what we've been doing up until now and why we've been doing it that way. And that'll help you understand why we're going to be doing what we're going to be doing. First thing, we started November 5th of last year, and we've been together every single Monday through Friday since then, including holidays, except for one Thursday when I had something with my family that I had to go do. So I tend to be pretty reliable about showing up for this stuff. And many of you guys, even if you weren't with us during the holiday part, you were able to catch up through video. All right. We started off going through a book called The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace Wattles, which is essentially that. It's the formula that you would follow to manifest more money and wealth in your life. The next thing that we did is we went through a book called Hidden Treasures, written by a good friend and author that I know named Leslie Householder. That one actually went through the laws of the universe in relationship to manifesting more money and wealth in your life. The next thing we did right after that is we went into I would call it the Reader's Digest version of The Law of Attraction, a book called It Works by R.H. Jarrett. Then we went into an article by Bob Proctor, who happens to actually be someone who I hired to be my coach and mentor and trainer. So he's been my coach, mentor, and trainer, and then I've become a facilitator and coach for his programs. Now I'm independent. But I had a particular article called Decision, and we went through that together. And why was that important? Because it's one of the things that most people have a tough time with. And if you don't decide what it is that you want, you're sending out mixed signals to God in the universe and to your subconscious mind, which kind of make things not turn out right. It would be almost like if you were standing there in the kitchen and you were trying to bake a cake. Let's say you're trying to bake a chocolate cake. Well, Well, no, let's just say you want to bake a cake and nobody can decide if it's supposed to be chocolate or strawberry or vanilla or yellow or whatever. And you're sitting there and you can't decide either. So you just start making it and throwing ingredients into it. When it doesn't turn out to be the cake that you wanted, well, first of all, you probably didn't make a real true decision what you wanted. So anyhow, decision was very important to go through. After that, we went through Joseph Murphy's The Power of Your Subconscious Mind, which understanding how your mind functions, particularly your subconscious mind, and getting it to work in harmony with what you want instead of against what you want is very important. Then we went through, by Neville Goddard, The Power of Awareness, which helped you understand who you are. Okay. Now we're going to hop into The Game of Life. The Game of Life is written by Florence Skovel Shinn. I happen to have it on both Kindle and Audible. So, and I've gone through this book, in the last year or so, probably 3 times, and found that it definitely has made a big difference for me. And I'll tell you, one of the reasons I want to go through this with you guys is it gives a lot of great examples of how people actually used affirmations for themselves. And it gives those affirmations, by the way, which is terrific. But it goes through different areas that you might want to improve your life, including money and wealth. And it goes through different areas, gives examples of what people actually did to make a positive change and to get what they want, and even shared exactly what it was that they were telling themselves to reprogram themselves so that they would get what they want. So we're going to go into this book today. I found a copy of it that I really like, and I would like you guys, I'll show you which one it was here in a second. As you can see, I went through a few of these to find the one I like the best. This one right here, okay? It says The Game of Life, and then it looks like a comma by Florence Skovel Shinn - free ebook. And it was on a website, www.globalgrayebooks.com, Game of Life ebook. That is the one that I've chosen that we're going to go through. So if you would like to go grab the exact same copy, you can. Okay. When you go into it and you click on it, here's what's going to show up. All right. It's going to bring you to here, and then just go down to here. And all I did was click on PDF. And then what came up for me is this. Now it actually brought me to the first page. I just scrolled down to the very first chapter. Okay. But this is where you can find a copy for yourself if you like. And then you can do what I did also, which is just take my download function, and now it's actually downloaded onto my computer. You can do that to your phone, your tablet, your laptop, your computer, whatever, and have your own copy, and you don't have to even pay for one. And you can follow along with us if you like to. All right. So what we're going to do now is, what I wanted to tell you is we're going to we typically leave 10 to 15 minutes towards the end of what we're doing to give you guys the opportunity to share what you want to share and ask whatever questions you want to ask. Okay. So again, I'm not going to be paying attention to chat right now. You guys might be paying attention to chat with each other, but I'm certainly not until the time is right. And then actually what I'm going to ask you to do is come off mute and share what you want to share or ask whatever questions you want to ask. That's how we've been doing it since the beginning, and it's been working out really well for everybody. Matter of fact, I think it's one of people's favorite things. I am going to ask a favor of everybody.
Let me turn it on.
Yeah, I would ask that everybody go ahead and mute themselves. Okay. Right now, Paula, would you please mute yourself? Thank you. And I'm going to take a sip of water, and we're going to jump right on into the first chapter of The Game of Life, called The Game. Okie dokie.
I love you, Kevin. Mwah, mwah.
Love you too. All right. The game. Most people consider life a battle, but it's not a battle, it's a game. It's a game, however, which cannot be played successfully without the knowledge of spiritual law. And the Old and New Testaments give the rules of the game with wonderful clearness. Jesus Christ taught that it was a great game of giving and receiving. Whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. This means that whatever man sends out in word or deed will return to him. What he gives, he will receive. If he gives hate, he will receive hate. If he gives love, he will receive love. If he gives criticism, he will receive criticism. If he lies, he will be lied to. If he cheats, he will be cheated. We're also taught that the imaging faculty plays a leading part in the game of life. Keep thy heart or imagination with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. This means that what man images sooner or later externalizes in his affairs. I know of a man who feared a certain disease. It was a very rare disease and difficult to get, but he pictured it continually and read about it until it manifested in his body and he died, the victim of a distorted imagination. So we see, to play successfully the game of life, we must train the imaging faculty. A person with an imaging faculty trained to image only good brings into this life every righteous desire of his heart: health, wealth, love, friends, perfect self-expression, his highest ideals. The imagination has been called the scissors of the mind, and it is ever cutting day by day the pictures man sees there, and sooner or later he meets his own creations in his outer world. To train the imagination successfully, man must understand the workings of his mind. The Greeks said, know thyself. There are three departments of the mind: the subconscious, conscious, and superconscious. The subconscious is simply power without direction. Let me repeat that. The subconscious is simply power without direction. It is like steam or electricity, and it does what it is directed to do. It has no power of induction, so it can't make up its own mind. Whatever man feels deeply or images clearly is impressed upon the subconscious mind and carried out in the minutest detail. For example, a woman I know, when a child, always made believe she was a widow. She dressed up in black clothes and wore a long black veil, and people thought she was very clever and amusing. She grew up and married a man with whom she was deeply in love. In a short time, he died, and she wore black and a sweeping veil for many years. The picture of herself as a widow was impressed upon the subconscious mind, and in due time worked itself out, regardless of the havoc it created. Let me repeat this. The picture of herself, so whatever we picture ourselves and feel ourselves to be, the picture of herself as a widow was impressed upon the subconscious mind, and in due time worked itself out, regardless of the havoc created. The conscious mind has been called mortal or carnal mind. It is the human mind and sees life as it appears to be. It sees death, disaster, sickness, poverty, and limitation of every kind, and it impresses the subconscious. The superconscious mind is the God mind within each man and is the realm of perfect ideas. So that's our connection to God. In it is the perfect pattern spoken of by Plato, the divine design, for there is a divine design for each person. There is a place that you are to fill and no one else can fill, something you're to do which no one else can do. There is a perfect picture of this in the superconscious mind. It usually flashes across the consciousness as an unattainable ideal, something too good to be true. In reality, it is man's true destiny or destination, flashed to him from the infinite intelligence which is within himself. Many people, however, are in ignorance of their true destinies and are striving for things and situations which do not belong to them and would only bring failure and dissatisfaction if attained. For example, a woman came to me and asked me to speak the word that she would marry a certain man with whom she was very much in love. She called him AB. And Sunshine, do you mind going on mute, please? I replied that this would be a violation of spiritual law, but that I would speak the word for the right man, the divine selection, the man who belonged to her by divine right. So interesting. So this person, by the way, this is us sometimes, right? That's why I always add this or something better. This person wanted a certain person. They wanted to almost force this person to be with them, right? I replied that this would be a violation of spiritual law, but that I would speak the word for the right man, the divine selection, the man who belonged to her by divine right. I added, if AB is the right man, you can't lose him. And if he isn't, you'll receive his equivalent. She saw AB frequently, but no headway was made in their friendship. One evening, she called and said, do you know, for the last week, AB hasn't seemed so wonderful to me. I replied, maybe he's not the divine selection. Another man may be the right one. Soon after that, she met another man who fell in love with her at once and who said she was his ideal. In fact, he said all the things that she had always wished AB would say to her. She remarked it was quite uncanny. She soon returned his love and lost interest in AB. This shows the law of substitution, this or something better. A right idea was substituted for a wrong one. Therefore, there was no loss or sacrifice involved. Jesus Christ said, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness. Seek that connection with God in spirit. And all these things shall be added unto you. And he said the kingdom was within man. The kingdom is the realm of right ideas or the divine pattern. Jesus Christ taught that man's words played a leading part in the game of life. By your words, you are justified, and by your words, you are condemned. Many people have brought disaster into their lives through idle words. For example, a woman once asked me why her life was now one of poverty, or a poverty of limitation. Formerly, she had a home, was surrounded by beautiful things, and had plenty of money. We found she had often tired of the management of her home and had said repeatedly, I am sick and tired of things. I wish I lived in a trunk. And she added, today I'm living in that trunk. She had spoken herself into a trunk. Listen to this, everybody, okay? Listen to this closely. The subconscious mind has no sense of humor. And people often joke themselves into unhappy experiences. The subconscious mind has no sense of humor. And people often joke themselves into unhappy experiences. For example, a woman who had a great deal of money joked continually about getting ready for the poorhouse. In a few years, she was almost destitute, having impressed the subconscious mind with a picture of lack and limitation. Fortunately, the law works both ways, and a situation of lack may be changed to one of plenty. Let's repeat that. Fortunately, the law works both ways, and a situation of lack may be changed to one of plenty. For example, a woman came to me one hot summer's day for a treatment for prosperity. She was worn out, dejected, and discouraged. She said she possessed just $8 in the world. I said, good. We'll bless the $8 and multiply them as Jesus multiplied the loaves and the fishes. For he taught that every man had the power to bless and to multiply, to heal and to prosper. She said, what shall I do next? I replied, follow intuition. Have you a hunch to do anything or to go anywhere? Intuition means intuition or to be taught from within. It is man's unerring guide and I will deal more fully with its laws in a following chapter. The woman replied, I don't know. I seem to have a hunch to go home. I've just enough money for car fare. Her home was in a distant city and was one of lack and limitation. And the reasoning mind or intellect would have said, stay in New York and get work and make some money. I replied, then go home. Never violate a hunch. I spoke the following words for her. Infinite Spirit, open the way for great abundance for this person. She is an irresistible magnet for all that belongs to her by divine right. I told her to repeat it continually also. So that was her affirmation. She left for home immediately. In calling on a woman one day, she linked up with an old friend of her family. Through this friend, she received thousands of dollars in a most miraculous way. She has said to me often, tell people about the woman who came to you with $8 and a hunch. There is always plenty on man's pathway, but it can only be brought into manifestation through desire, faith, or the spoken word. Jesus Christ brought out clearly that man must make the first move. Ask, and it shall be given you. Seek, and ye shall find. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you. In the scriptures we read, concerning the works of my hands, command ye me. Infinite intelligence, God, is ever ready to carry out man's smallest or greatest demands. Every desire uttered or unexpressed is a demand. So uttered or unexpressed, meaning it's being thought and felt, is a demand. We are often startled by having a wish suddenly fulfilled. For example, one Easter, having seen many beautiful rose trees in the florist's windows, I wished I would receive one. And for an instant, I saw it mentally being carried to the door. So here was the key here. It wasn't just the wishing, okay, but Florence actually took the time to envision it happening and to feel it happening and to enjoy it happening in her imagination. So, for example, one Easter, having seen many beautiful rose trees in the florist's windows, I wished I would receive one. And for an instant, I saw it mentally being carried in the door. Easter came, and with it, a beautiful rose tree. I thanked my friend the following day and told her it was just what I had wanted. She replied, I didn't send you a rose tree. I sent you lilies. The man had mixed the order and sent me a rose tree simply because I had started the law in action and I had to have a rose tree. Nothing stands between man and his highest ideals and every desire of his heart but doubt and fear. When man can wish without worrying, every desire will be instantly fulfilled. I will explain more fully in a following chapter the scientific reason for this and how fear must be erased from the consciousness. It is man's only enemy. Fear of lack, fear of failure, fear of sickness, fear of loss, and a feeling of insecurity on some plane. Jesus said, why are you fearful, O ye of little faith? So we can see we must substitute faith for fear. Listen to this one, everybody. For fear is only inverted faith. It is faith in evil instead of good. Let me repeat. So we can see we must substitute faith for fear. For fear is only inverted faith. It is faith in evil instead of good. The object of the game of life is to see clearly one's good and to obliterate all mental pictures of evil. This must be done by impressing the subconscious mind with a realization of good. A very brilliant man who has attained great success told me he had suddenly erased all fear from his consciousness by reading a sign which hung in a room. He saw printed in large letters this statement, why worry? It will probably never happen. These words were stamped indelibly upon his subconscious mind, and he has now a firm conviction that only good can come into his life, therefore only good can manifest. In the following chapter, I will deal with the different methods of impressing the subconscious mind. It is man's faithful servant, but one must be careful to give it the right orders. Man has ever a silent listener at his side, his subconscious mind. Every thought, every word is impressed upon it and carried out in amazing detail. It is like a singer making a record on a sensitive disc of the phonographic plate. Every note and tone of the singer's voice is registered. If he coughs or hesitates, it is registered also. So let us break all the old bad records in the subconscious mind, the records of our lives which we do not wish to keep, and make new and beautiful ones. Speak these words aloud with power and conviction. I now smash and demolish by my spoken word every untrue record in my subconscious mind. They shall return to the dust heap of their native nothingness, for they came from my own vain imaginings. I now make my perfect records through the Christ within, the records of health, wealth, love, and perfect self-expression. This is the square of life, the game completed. In the following chapters, I will show how man can change his conditions by changing his words. Let's see, what time do we have here? We're going to go ahead and let's see. Any man who does not know the power of the word is behind the times. Death and life are in the power of the tongue. Okay. So we are going to stop there, and we are going to start up on the law of prosperity when we come back and spend time with each other on Monday. Hey, looks like some folks have joined us since we got started. Good to have you here with us. Welcome. Everybody here at this moment looks familiar to me. I think we had a new person that we maybe scared away. I don't know. But anyhow, glad to have you all here with us. And since you were all been here with us before, you know the drill. Now's the time to share what you like to share or ask whatever questions you would like to ask. So go ahead and go for it.
Hi, Kevin. Sunshine, how are you?
Terrific. How about you, Sunshine? Hello?
I'm good. Thanks for asking.
Okay.
I'm good. Thanks for asking. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, perfect. I want to first apologize. I didn't come off of mute unintentionally. I must have hit the button earlier.
That's okay.
But I did want to share with everyone. I manifested something. It's really small and trivial, but I was glad that I manifested it. So for a while, I was having a hard time with cleaning my room. And I know that sounds so trivial.
Actually,
but
sounds so common.
I just couldn't get the strength to do it. And
sounds very common, by the way.
So, you know, well, okay, so I'm not alone. So what I did, I started visualizing, and I kept visualizing, and then yesterday it got clean, and I'm excited. So yeah.
Awesome. Did you ultimately, were you the one who cleaned it, or did somebody come clean it for you?
I clean, but I was just glad to have it done.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I mean, we're impelled to do whatever we're impelled to do when we visualize and enjoy something. And plus, it was probably more fun than upsetting when we go at it with the right attitude. So awesome. Anybody else? Anything you want to share? Any questions you would like to ask?
I just wanted to say, I wanted to get that first sentence down. Life is not a battle. Some people think life is a battle. And then it went on to, I was going to write that down.
Oh, let's see. Was it towards the, I'm trying to remember.
It's the very first sentence.
The very first or the very end of the chapter?
The very first sentence of the first chapter.
Okay, that was on, I think that was on like page 3. So let's see here, maybe a little further than 3. Okay, hang on. The game. Da, 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 da. Maybe it was 6. Oh, here we go. Most people consider life a battle, but it is not a battle, it's a game.
I love this book.
Yeah, I know you guys are going to really, I believe you guys are going to really love this book. It's going to give you, like I said, lots of ideas of things that you can tell yourself to help reprogram yourself.
Grateful.
She'll call them treatments or whatever, but you can call them affirmations. Some people call it auto-suggestion, but essentially better things to tell yourself than what maybe you've been telling yourself in the past. So, cool. All right. Anybody else?
Hi, Kevin. It's Takira.
Hi.
Hello. I have a question. I love Florence. I love this book so much. But I wanted to ask about when she says, "Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these things shall be added unto you." Like, can you elaborate? Because I know that scripture, but I never can internalize it.
I'm going to probably tell it to you different than anybody ever has. Seek your connection with source.
How so? Like the praise?
Well, think about it. If put yourself in a position of gratitude or whatever, make sure you're connected so you can receive inspiration, revelation, intuition. Seek ye first, because when you're connected and you're not relying just on you, a lot of people think this is like, okay, go preach the gospel, go do this, go that, and put all this, and then later on you'll get your stuff maybe after this life, right? Then you'll get your reward. I think seek ye first the kingdom of God is seek to connect and know what his will is so that you can go do it. And his will, essentially, if you have the desire for something, that is probably his will, okay? And if you're concerned about if it's just your head versus his desire, right? Then ask. Say, hey, this is what's come to me. It feels really, really, really good. It seems to me like you'd be more than happy to help me do it. This is, I intend on receiving it. If this isn't the path I'm supposed to go, let me know. If not, I'm going to go down that path. Not like I'm going to go down that path, but like, in humility. But that's what I think seek ye first the kingdom of God is. Seek to know his will and get his help before you try and make your own plans, because he probably has a better way and an easier way and one that's not so difficult to go down. We take the difficult path because we try to use our experience and our intellect, and then we try and use our experience, our intellect, and then we got all this subconscious programming that's come in over the years that's in opposition to what we want anyway. So we're like, well, maybe that means God doesn't want me to have it. You would never feel doubtful and fearful when you're connected with God. The only time he really kind of shouts at us, typically, is if, again, to avoid an accident or something, right? When we need it to be loud enough for us to go, oh, okay, to avoid something, right? But for the most part, he's not trying to scare us or jolt us or whatever. He's trying to tell us, hey, look, calm down. Yeah. Come over here, get out of the noise and come talk with me. And let me help you out.
That's interesting, because there's also a scripture that says, if you meditate on my laws day and night, then your way will be prosperous and successful. And I've started meditating like once a day, and I'm getting out all those old blockages and traumas that I didn't even know were there. And I'm like, well, maybe that's what God's trying to get me to do, is so that, when we kind of cool out, then all these, prosperous things can come to us. So it's all coinciding. So I like this choice. Thank you for choosing Florence.
Yeah, you're welcome.
She's a lot, by the way. She has a couple of books that I like. So
yeah, she's got a lot of them.
She's deceased now, right? She's
Yeah,
long gone,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay. Are we ever going to work with authors that are alive? Well, besides Bob Proctor, like that are alive?
We did go through Leslie Householder.
Oh, that's right. She's alive. And
Yeah.
did we do The Secret? No, we didn't do that.
No, we didn't do The Secret itself.
Okay.
I've made suggestions like do the magic for gratitude and stuff like that. I don't know. I do what I feel guided, but here's the thing. New is fun, kind of, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the principles have been taught for so long that I kind of like to go closer to the source sometimes
Yeah.
than moving into the future where people throw in a lot of their opinion.
Right. Well, good choice. Thank you, Kevin.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Any other questions or comments?
I was just going to say that there was a group of friends we got together on Zoom just to chit chat, and one guy has a bookstore in Missouri, and he had some books on sale. One in particular was a book that I wanted, and I just didn't currently. Things are pretty real tight. So
let me share with you. This is
he
Coach
got the
Caleb.
book for me.
Yeah.
I know.
Right? It's the words you tell yourself over, and you do that with us a lot. You tell us your woes.
I do.
You do. You start out apologizing and talking about woes, and then you jump into the positive thing that you wanted or whatever usually. But you start, I wanted to do this, but things are tight, so I can't. I want to do this, things are tight, so I can't. I want to do this thing. That's what I hear.
It's true.
I know. So
it's a broken record.
Uh-huh. Well, no, it's not. It's actually a very solid, good record that you have not broken, which the book just said, what? Go break it. We just went through the chapter that said, and I know you just heard that today. We just went through talking about breaking the record. It records us. So remember the last affirmation? Hang on. Let's go back here. Let's help you out a little bit. I forget.
Oh my gosh.
Page it was. So I'm going to try to find the correct page where we left off. I'm guessing here a little bit. Let's see. Don't let it. Okay, that's not it. So it was. Here we go. I mean, literally, we were just told exactly. Here we go. Every note. So this is page 10 of the PDF file. Every note and tone of the singer's voice is registered. I just did. If he coughs or hesitates, it is also registered. So let us break all the old bad records in the subconscious mind, the records of our lives, which we do not wish to keep, and make new and beautiful ones. So here's what you should go do. You're given instructions by Florence. Speak these words aloud with power and conviction. And you don't do it one time. Keep doing it. I now smash and demolish by my spoken word every untrue record in my subconscious mind. They shall return to the dust heap of their native nothingness, for they came from my own vain imaginings. I now make my perfect records through the Christ within, the records of health, wealth, love, and perfect self-expression. This is the square of life, the game completed. So instead of trying to write that all down, go get a copy.
I am.
I told you how to get the free copy earlier.
I will.
Go get the free copy and go find that paragraph. It's right before the very end of the chapter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because what I'm here to help. Okay.
I know, and yeah. I know.
And what I find, and Bob Proctor does the same thing. He'll only take it for a moment, but I'm not anybody's psychiatrist or psychologist. So just so you know, when I'm a coach too, and people that talk to me will probably figure this out. I need to know a bit about what's going on and what's happened so far, but then we don't really discuss it any longer. We stay focused on where we're going unless some new obstacle comes up. Then we'll talk about it, and I'll find that usually we create our own obstacles anyway. So that obstacle is created by thought and programming. So, okay, what, if I don't, this is what we can always do. If I don't want something, that tells me what I do want. Right? If you wanted to buy a book from your friend's bookstore, instead of saying, oh, what you were saying, say the opposite. You know what? I want that book, and I know God can provide me the way to purchase it. And I'm going to, and then picture yourself holding the book in your hand, feeling it in your fingers, looking at the cover, flipping through the pages, treating that book the same way you would treat it as if you owned it. And obviously there's more than one way to get a hold of a book. You'll probably bump into a friend a few days from now talking about the book. They go, oh, I've got that book. And they'll be like, do you want to borrow it? Or, hey, it's actually sitting in my trunk right now or in my glove box. Here you go. Or you'll get the electronic library. We have access to libraries that have pretty much all this stuff. So when we really, really want something, we need to get in the habit of being able, yes, I say don't focus on how, but we also need to be a little creative. God expects us to use what he gave us sometimes before he just says, go do this. He wants us to think it out a little bit and go, well, let's see, I've got 3 different ways I could do this, right? I could get it from a library. I could go to a used bookstore. I could probably find it online somewhere where somebody, depending on what it is, I could probably type that name into YouTube and somebody probably stuck it up there as an audiobook, or somebody took the time to read it out loud and I could go listen to it. So, and that's just an example of a book. But anything you want in life, you can have it. One, don't assume you have to buy it, but also be open to receiving the money if that's what it's going to take to have what you want to have. I've received lots of things without having to come up with the money, and I've received lots of things that I came up with the money. I just ask God for what I want, then he tells me which of those things to go use. I've used money I've had, I've used money others have had. I've used credit. I've used whatever it is, but I trust whatever it is that I use, it all belongs to God anyway. He can go replenish it. If you don't have $5 or $10 for a book, you probably do. You're just worried that if you spend it here, you're not going to have it for something else. If you're supposed to have the book, get the book. And then let God replace the 10, 15, 20 bucks it costs to get the book. Is that helpful? I think you muted yourself, but that's okay.
No, yes, I did. But yes, it's so totally helpful. So, over the weekend, I'm going to replay this. I mean, I wish I could replay exactly what you said to me.
Well, you can, because it's going to be on YouTube. You guys all know this,
good.
right? It's going to show up in the Facebook group, and those of you who click it know it's a YouTube video. So
Yeah.
subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's all there for you. No big picture search. I try
Hey, Kevin,
and make it
I had a
easy.
question real quick.
Yeah.
So this kind of goes back to what to focus my visualization on. And so you had talked about how in your past you had visualized going up and winning the award, and then the next thing that happened was you won all these awards. But then you also talked about how you visualized a life or a lifestyle where you had all this excess time and you were living the life.
You froze, darn it.
Can you hear me now?
I can. So a lifestyle, that's the last thing I heard.
Okay, so were these two different moments?
They were 2 different
or
moments.
Did you kind of visualize? Okay, so it wasn't like you're visualizing your lifestyle and the winning of the awards. These were two different.
Yeah, 2 different scenarios. The lifestyle was the first thing. The award thing was several years later.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't want to broaden out my my focus too far. I want to stay locked in on one thing, and then attract that, and then kind of get the momentum flowing.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
But for instance, you know, I've said, so let's take coaching for a minute, right? We've talked about this. And I don't know that that's your number one thing, nor would I made it strictly number one. But what God may be telling you is to get your number one thing, here's a step. So for instance, I recently got an idea, and I like to use, because you guys always bring up, I say you guys, maybe not you specific, Jack Canfield's story. It's always, hey, what about writing the thing? And I have to explain the whole thing to understand it. So I had something specific that I want related to lifestyle. And then God has actually told me, interestingly enough, here, not all the steps, but gave me the idea of, if X number of people were to be in your sphere of influence, and did it, kind of similar idea to what Jack Canfield got, then you would do that. Well, God is actually wanting me to stay focused on the end thing, but put some focus on that part, right? You know, Jack didn't, because he had to have his antenna up so he could see things like the National Enquirer, so he could meet the person that would come up to him after he was speaking that wanted to interview him. So he had to be intuitive, or else he could have walked away from either of those situations, right? His goal was to earn X. Well, the goal, it was a money goal, but he had to have a lifestyle attached to it for the money to mean anything. Once it meant something to him, then God's given him ideas. And God said, you know, if so many people would buy my book, that didn't mean, you know, because some people are right now, they have a book or whatever they have. And they're like, okay, then they go ask God for something and say, hey, help me sell more books. And that may not be how God wants to do it. But what God did to Jack Canfield is he gave him the idea of using a specific book. He still didn't know how he was going to get so many people to buy it. He just knew if 400,000 bought it at a quarter a piece, he'd have his $100,000, right? And so he was going down that path, not because he just was trying to force the money to come through that book. That was intuition that he got. And then the next step was, okay, well, how do I get 400,000 people to buy it? Right? I don't know 400,000 people. And then he thought, but he did have that thought. If 400,000 people knew about the book, they would probably buy it. So then the next step was, National Enquirer. I don't know why that came, but that's what came, right? Obviously, it had a readership of over 400,000 people. And so then the lady in the article and all the other stuff, the interview, and talked about the book, and, you know, sold almost enough to make almost $100,000. He didn't quite get it, but he was close. But each one of those things, God and the universe was preparing him to be open so that he could receive that. Because again, he could have walked by the Enquirer thing, he could miss the gal, he could have missed these cues. It wouldn't have known that here's how he's trying to receive it. So some of you are like, here's the lifestyle I want. And I'm not saying, in your case, I think God's saying, well, go get Kevin to coach you. Okay. I feel personally for you. I'm not saying everybody else on here, I don't feel that for you. I'm just saying I've had that, and you're supposed to. And I believe you may not think you know how to do it, but I think you can do it. If you were in jail today, and you were thrown in jail today, and it took $5,000 to get you out on bail, and if you didn't get out on bail, the guys that are in the cell with you are about 3 times your size, and your life is being threatened, and you get to make a phone call, and that phone call is going to decide if you get 5,000 to get out, or if you basically get beat to a pulp on a daily basis. I bet you would figure out how to come up with $5,000.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so go do it.
Yeah.
The same thing, right? But you have to see it as that important, right? That, hey, if I want what I want, then I'm going to find a way to get it. I would not sit there in jail and risk my life every single day to an inch of my life, end up in the hospital, infirmary, and then back in the cell. Right? And especially if it wasn't like you're only in there for 24 hours. No, you're in there till you come up with $5,000. And guess what? You can't start a business in there. You're just in there with 4 big guys.
Right.
Take turns. Okay, it's my turn tonight. You know, I get him tomorrow until he's gone.
That sounds scary.
I know, right? But
Yeah.
I know very few people on this call that would sit in that jail cell for enough time to get the snot beat out of them on a daily basis.
Yeah.
You would figure it out, and somebody would come up with it because you would convince them that it was that important to your life.
Mhm.
So
I agree. And I really believe in all this stuff, and I believe in everything you've been teaching us, and I've seen the results. So to me, it feels like the next step.
yeah, I
You
know
know?
it is. I know it is.
And yeah.
For you. I mean, again, I'm not leaving anybody out. I intuitively know it, but you have your agency. So I'm just trying to share ideas with you.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
It's still your choice, right? I can't make you do it. Nobody can make me do anything either.
Right.
And nor would I want to, right? I want you because you want to, because
For sure.
you'll give it your all. And when you give it your all, you'll get the results because you'll do what you're asked to do. So
I'll be in that group soon.
okay. I expect before the weekend's over, you message me and say, okay, I did what I needed to do to get out of jail.
For sure.
All
Thanks,
right.
Kevin.
You're welcome. Any other, I think Stephanie came off for a second and wanted to say something, but I don't know. Maybe not.
Yeah, I was just going to say that you were literally reading my mind as you were talking to Paul. I was contemplating buying a end table that I saw yesterday, and I received a check unexpectedly. And I was thinking, oh, maybe I shouldn't, because I could use that money towards something else. But anyway, you literally read my mind as I was thinking about it. You were talking to Paula and telling her exactly what I should do.
So you received an unexpected check.
I did.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love when that happens.
Me too.
Very cool. Thank you for sharing
Yep.
that. Anybody else?
Hi, everybody. This is Yadira. I'm sorry. I don't
Hi.
usually talk very much.
Hi.
But Kevin, I think I had spoken to you maybe, I don't know, maybe a month ago on the platform here about that I was a recent divorcee. Like I got divorced last year, and I have 3 teenagers, and I was trying to find money to furnish my place and blah, blah, blah. And I mean, my ex did owe me some money, and so it looks like he's gonna be this month sometime giving me a check. I moved out. I decided to move out anyways, even though I didn't have all the necessary things that I needed. Because I basically left with nothing. Like I left just with my clothes, and I'm starting all over.
Yeah. Okay.
And so and it was by choice. It wasn't that he said I couldn't take anything. I just wanted it that way. It's just for my own mental healing, just to kind of start over. But he is committing to give me some money, that he actually owes me, that he was trying to basically hold off, not giving me, and trying to nickel and dime me about me owing him this and that, and so he wasn't going to pay, blah blah blah. But
yeah,
it looks like he's coming around to wanting to give me that money, so I'm really excited about. The other thing that I think I've manifested, I hate talking about manifesting things, because I've also heard that you shouldn't talk about things.
What do you about things that have manifested, or things that you want to have manifest? You always can talk about, so let me share with you scripturally, just real quick. When Jesus went and healed people, it was interesting how he did, well, not how he did it. I mean, how he did it. But it's interesting what he told them after he healed them. Some of the time he said, don't tell anybody. And then other times he said, go tell everybody.
Yeah.
Right? Now, funny enough, almost every one of them went and told everybody anyway. Okay. but you know, that's fine.
Yeah.
It's not like he said, hey, I told you not to, so I'm going to take it away, and they were crippled again. That's not how Christ would treat someone, right? But I think at the
Yeah.
time he was trying to do his ministry, and he wanted the right attention, right, instead of
Right.
the bad attention. Anytime something manifests for you, unless it's like really, really private and you feel like God is saying, hey, this is between you and me, then yeah, if that's what you feel. But other than that, yeah, share it with other people. It's not bragging done in the spirit of helpfulness.
Yeah. Well, the thing that I had done when I got right before my divorce, I did create a vision board of what kind of like Steve Harvey. I wrote down some things. One of the
Uh-huh,
things that I had written down was that I definitely would like to get married at some point.
uh-huh.
And I made a picture of myself, my husband, my 3 kids in the picture, my home, my cars, my
Awesome.
ring, like my new ring,
Uh-huh,
all this stuff. Well, so last month, I joined, well, just like I found you at Meetup, right? So
uh-huh.
there's many different groups in Meetup. So I joined
Sure.
a group in January. It was called Wine Lovers and Single.
Uh-huh.
So I joined it, and then within a week, a man had reached out to me directly through that platform.
Okay.
Introduced himself, blah blah blah. Anyways, he we started talking and da da da, and he basically, it's crazy to believe it, but he's like, I'm in love with you, but it sounds almost like a hoax. But I've been to his house, and
Uh-huh.
we've gone for walks, and I've gone to his house for lunch, and gotten to know him a little bit within this last month. And he is like, can you be my wife? And which just sounds, I haven't said yes yet, but literally he's like,
Sure.
let's go ring shopping this weekend. But he's just ready to take me in and do whatever I need, and take care of me and blah blah blah. But it's definitely something that I manifested, and he's a well-to-do man. He's pretty well off. So it's something that I had put down on I did tell him I wasn't ready. I was going to wait for at least 4 years or more before I decided to go into that whole marriage again. But he is like, no, I want it now, blah blah blah. But it's almost scary to some degree, because everything that I put to some degree on that board, he's
Mhm.
answering to it.
Yeah.
And it seems so quick. It
So
seems so quick that
could
I
be.
can't
Yeah.
even believe it.
Yeah. So to protect yourself, okay, right? Because some guys know how to talk pretty well.
Hmm.
Right? To protect yourself, say, hey, God, I truly appreciate you introducing me to so and so. He seems to
Hmm.
be my ideal. Everything that I've thought about and written about and asked for, he seems to fit that. I know
Hmm.
that in the past, things have not worked out quite as well. And so I want to move forward, not backwards. I just want to make sure that this is the right person, and that they will treat me in such a way that I can always, be faithful to them, and they'll be faithful to me, and that we will, be in harmony and in vibration with each other. And I want to make sure that I've changed enough so that I can be the right person for this man. If this person's correct for me and he asks me to marry him and you tell me that it's the right thing, I'm willing to do it. If I should wait, I'm willing to do that. If this isn't the right person, then, help bring to me, his equivalent or something better when the time is right.
Yeah.
And just go enjoy yourself and
Thank you.
follow, do things in peace. Excitement is cool, but making decisions in excitement isn't always the best idea, right?
Yeah.
Especially this kind of decision, um, because this one's a biggie. So just do it
Yeah.
peacefully and follow your intuition, and you'll know what to do. It sounds to me like you took enough time, you've worked on yourself, like you said, you realize it's a manifestation. Just make sure that it's a situation where, he's not saying things strictly, for himself, but he's actually putting you ahead of himself in this situation.
Yeah, I agree for sure. It's something that I don't, I've talked to him and I've hesitated in the sense, not hesitated, but I've just been like, wow, this is kind of fast. I mean, it's been exciting. There hasn't
Yeah.
really been a whole lot of hesitation just because he's talked to me extensively and we've talked extensively, but I still feel like, maybe I will.
Just don't stick a date out there like 4 years or whatever. Don't program yourself that way, because God can give you good as fast as he wants to, as fast as you're ready to receive it.
Yeah. So that's the shocking.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why it's so scary, because I'm like, wow. I mean, literally he's like, yeah, I mean, he's ready to this, if I want to get a $30,000 ring this weekend, he will go buy one for me.
Yeah.
That's kind of how ready, and he's ready to buy the house that I want. Like the list goes on and on.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
almost shocking.
I know.
But
I know.
yeah, his
When
family,
cool stuff
he has like
when cool stuff
apartment.
happens, it feels unbelievable. I mean, I had not nearly
Yeah.
as big as a husband, right, for you. But when somebody actually
Mhm.
says, "Hey, I'm going to give you my car," right? It's a
Mhm.
$130,000 car. You're like, at that point, I was used to stuff like that, so it wasn't as big of a shocker. But if I had just
Mhm.
started learning this and immediately right away, the first thing somebody wanted to do for me was something like that, I would have been like, "Whoa," right?
I know. Yeah,
But now
exactly.
I'm
He's
used to it.
willing to give
Yeah,
me.
yeah, you'll get used to the good. And that's the part too, everybody. Get used to the good. Get used to the
Yeah.
great, right? Get
But I
used
kind
to
of feel like, thank you, Kevin. I just wanted to say that I feel like that's being on your platform, and somehow something led me to this platform to begin with, and that led me to join other groups on the meetup as well, which led me to him reaching out to me. So I feel like it's all kind of in a way orchestrated by a higher power that kind of taught me all that steps, because I didn't know anything about it. I was married for almost 30 years.
yeah.
And so I've been in a relationship in one marriage since 19 years old. And so for me to have even done to have looked up Meetup and join it, and then be on this platform, and then, join other ones. And I don't know, I feel like it's like a progression of once things getting revealed into another, and being on here has been bringing me good vibrations and good fortunes, I guess.
That's awesome.
So yeah, so thank you.
You're welcome. Well, we have a lot of amazing people that join us pretty regularly, so it's a overall great vibration. So love it.
Hey, Kevin,
Yes.
I do have something else.
Okay.
I was reading The Science of Getting Rich yesterday, and in chapter 5, I was reading, which is increasing life.
Okay.
I was going to ask you offline, but maybe others can benefit from my question. It's on, well, I guess page number doesn't matter. I'll just read it to you.
Yeah. Okay.
We will soon be succeeded by the agents of the multitude who will organize the machinery of distribution. The multimillionaires are like the monster reptiles of prehistoric era. They play a necessary part in evolutionary process, but the same power which produced them will dispose of them. So maybe I'm reading into that too much.
Go ahead though.
I think you know where I'm going with this. Takira and I are in trouble if we both want to be multimillionaires, and he's saying that they're going to be disposed of.
Okay, first of all, he's not saying multimillionaires. If you think about how we evolved as a country and you do a little history work on it, you will find that some of those people that built that's why today you have antitrust laws and things like that. Like literally some of these, people would corner the entire market and then utilize the power and money they had to make sure nobody else could even compete with them practically. And therefore, if you wanted to have a job, which people were switching in the Industrial Revolution, if they wanted to have a job, they almost had to go work for X company in their city because there wasn't much else to go do, right?
Okay.
And then the school system got designed for that purpose, by the way. That's why we're all screwed up. I'm not saying what they did, again, it was a process of getting our country into the Industrial Revolution. and so that we can manufacture and do the things we do. And that part has obviously shifted, and we've shifted it, you know, we still do some in the US, but we've shifted to other countries and all this other stuff to do this. But what happened in some instances is people really weren't necessarily getting paid commensurate with the work that they were doing, but they didn't have a whole lot of choice either. So they lived practically in poverty. Benefits at the time didn't exist. So, you know, you work here, you get your pay, and you go buy what you got to go buy. That's just how it was. And if you don't work for us or whatever, and if everybody colluded with each other, which they could because there were no laws against it at the time, this company and this company could say, hey, look, even though we're competitors, neither one of us is going to pay a production line worker more than X dollars per hour. End of story, right? We're going to help each other grow, but we don't want this to become this battle where our profits go down and we can't grow our businesses. So the whole disposing of them, it's as people, you know, evolve in their thinking, and we have as a country, we've also digressed too in some ways, because we literally, and I think scary enough with the pandemic and everything else that's happened, now we're used to, not that it's enough, but we're used to getting checks from the government. Okay, whether we used to get them or not, right? Now everybody gets a check from the government or a deposit or whatever. Well, you give certain people enough of that and you disincentivize them to go out and do something. So what Wallace Wattles is saying in two ways in the book is, one, you don't have to live that way, so kind of forget all about it, don't worry about it. In other words, I know you're thinking this stuff, take your mind off of this and focus on what you want. But the other part he's saying too is set the example so that other people see what you're doing and they can get themselves out of the situation too. And potentially you could have a business like Bob Proctor did, where, you know, with today's laws, they may not be able to pull it off, but Bob Proctor required his employees to study this. When I say this material, maybe not the specific books you and I are studying, but he required them to do some personal development and to have some goals and things they were shooting for, or they weren't allowed to work for him. But that's why his company was so successful. He was only allowing people to stay. He would hire them, but they could only stay on with him if they were willing to do their own personal development. And he knew if they were or weren't, because his job was to go around, sit down with people and kind of interview his employees. Okay, what are your goals? What do you want to accomplish? What are you doing? Da, 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 da. And almost all those people in their own right became successful and wealthy that worked for him because of how he chose to do that. In our ventures, as we grow, some of us are going to want to have businesses, some of us aren't. Okay. But in our scenarios right here, we have the ability to grow something and allow people to take part of it and have an influence on them for the good. And we could, you know, it says in there, if too many people figure out this stuff, you know, most businesses would be in bad shape. Well, Bob Proctor's business wasn't in bad shape. People didn't want to leave him. They actually wanted to stay with him and help him grow his business because he allowed them to make more money and grow along with the business. So I wouldn't be too concerned. God's not getting rid of the millionaires. God would rather have the people that actually believe in him to all be millionaires, because then we would have a lot more influence. It'd be better if all of us were the multimillionaires, because I don't think we would go treat people the way some of those other people did.
Got it. I figured I was probably reading into it, but I also was questioning just because of the way things have been going lately. I'm like, well, who knows? I mean, with that whole Reddit thing, where the purpose behind it was to, you know, basically bankrupt all the hedge funds. And I think they may have been a little bit successful, but in the end, if you really understand the market, that really isn't successful because people's pensions, everyday pensions, are going to be destroyed too.
Yep. So here's a way you had protected yourself already. I mean, not that it was all in there, but you protected yourself by studying this material, getting in the right vibration, allowing yourself to receive more wealth. So you just received a check unexpectedly and your stock tripled. So that's that's exactly what Wallace Wattles is saying. You stay focused on your vibration and set the example. And if you get focused on what's going on outside of yourself, then that's the message you're giving to yourself. So we all have to be careful about that. We all have to be vigilant about what we allow in.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Hopefully that was helpful to multiple people. All right. Any additional questions or comments before we go?
Yeah, I do, Kevin, as we were talking. With the business, I wanted obviously the center and I want a house. And then I was told to get the business commercial space, you need collateral to get the business. Then they said you need to have it at home for at least a year to show that you're profitable. So I took the steps to get licensed in this apartment. I don't know if they're going to say yes or not. Should I do something like, or do I just, because I do not want to ever work for someone ever again. So I don't want to take the steps to getting a house, being an employee again, to get the house, to get the collateral, to get the building. You understand what I'm saying? I'm like, what am I doing?
So hey God, you brought me to this point so far. So far, so good. I've talked to people and I understand that they're telling me how supposedly the world works. However, this is your world, not their world. This place, everything in this planet belongs to you, not to them. And I know you're capable of providing absolutely anything and everything. Matter of fact, I've heard stories as we've studied about people that have been told no, they've been told they can't, and you provided a way for them. If you can provide a way for them, I know absolutely you can provide a way for me. I will do whatever it is you ask me to do. Just give me some kind of clue of what direction you want me to go in, and I will follow that direction that you give me. And I'm going to put this in your hands, and I'm just going to see myself successfully running my business and having you as my business partner.
Thank you, Kevin.
You're welcome.
Takira, do you mind me asking what business it is that you plan on doing? Is that okay if I ask?
Sure. It's childcare. I was a teacher for 10 years.
You
And
were?
Yeah, preschool, kindergarten, 4th grade. So yeah, I was
Oh,
the baby.
good for you. Okay, I'm going to be praying for you.
Please do. And I have a
I
housekeeper.
am.
She's coming on the 11th, Kevin. She's from Portugal, but her baby's 3 months old. And she brings her to my home to clean. And I'm just like, that might be God's first client for me. I don't know. So I've just been chilling, waiting until February 11th to see, you know, what may happen. Because once I get my first kid, I feel like the doors are going to open up. But it's just getting everybody on board with my apartment to allow me to do that, because the state is very strict on fire hydrants and smoke detectors and stuff. So, I mean, what you just said was perfect. I'm just going to see it as already run successfully. My website is up. I've gotten a lot of exposure, but I'm just like, okay, I need to make a profit for the tax purposes so that I can have this big, you know, facility. Like other daycares are all over the world. And I'm like, well, what makes me different? I have the experience. So I'm just being patient.
I don't remember if you were on the day that we gave the case study on the last book, but you've read it before, Power of Awareness, the N. Lordert and Sons, where they pictured their name on the building. They'd have business and all that, and then some guy showed up and actually bought the building for them.
For them, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
So you know what? You maybe don't have, somebody could have space that says, you know what? Use my space.
That would be great.
I think that's going to happen. I'm sorry, Kevin. I'll shut up. I'll shut up.
Oh, it's cool. Some multi-millionaire out there owns a building, multi-billionaire maybe, and likes you, likes what you're doing. You show that you give, you know, good service to people. And so just get yourself started. Your reputation will grow, and somebody will be like, we need more people like Takira taking care of our kids, and you need to expand. I'll help you expand it. Don't worry about it today.
Okay, and don't get on the phone with realtors, right? Because I was like
Well,
calling wife.
if you feel that is, if you're pushing, no. If you feel that you should, yes.
Okay. Okay, because I've been pushing, so I gotta stop pushing.
Yeah. Go have
Me
some
too.
fun. Go have some fun.
I need help. I need help with that, not to be so pushy. I need help. It's a process.
You can do all of this. Just hang with us, and over time.
Okay, I am. Sometimes my work gets in the way,
No,
but yes, I'm
nothing
here. I'm here.
Yeah, you're here.
I don't want to be pushy anymore.
Just keep
I
showing.
want to be in agreement. I want to manifest. I want it to be. Yeah, not pushy.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else before we go? Going once, going twice. All right. Thank you, everybody, and I'll see you on Monday.
Thank you, Kevin.
You're all
Thanks,
very welcome.
Kevin.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you
Welcome.
so much, Kevin.
Thank you.
Mwah. Love y'all.